New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good afternoon and welcome to Finding the Joy in the Journey. My name is Rev Gina and I am blessed to be the host of this wonderful show. And we are here to do just that. Let's find ways to be more joyful. And today, not someday, not when I have the right job or when I meet the right person or when I've saved enough money or when I go on that trip. Joy is right here where you are. It is a divine quality that is part of you, always inherent, always available. So it's coming up with a practice to maintain that joy, to go back to it and be and live from that place all of the time. Too often in our society, we live in what I call destination happiness. When I have this, then I'll be happy. When I've achieved that, well, then I'll be happy. Well, the truth is, every step of the way up the mountain, there's a beautiful view. And if you don't pay attention, you'll miss it. It's not about getting anywhere. It's about being who you are right here and right now. Because you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy story. So it's about creating that life you choose and being joyful along the way. So today I have a beautiful guest that can help me with that. And we come together every week with someone that does wonderful things in the world. And it's asking them, how do they do it? What makes them joyful? And today is no different. I am blessed to have with us today someone that I consider a mentor, a friend, somebody that I absolutely love and appreciate. And she's been a licensed, ordained and licensed minister for the past 5 years. She taught computer science in college for 35 years and has written 3 books. She currently has her own ministry that is, it's an amazing thing. It's an online retreat center. One Heart Retreat Center, which also has a library that has all kinds of stuff with it we're going to talk about. And she's amazing. She's a mom, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and just is a beloved person on this network as well. She has her own show that she hosts, as well as is on the prayer team as I am here at New Thought Media Network. And I'm going to bring in Rev Sharri Johnson. Thank you for being here with us. And thank you for being so festive. I love your holiday theme. And any of you that see her on the prayer team in the mornings or the evenings, or when you see her in a show, for the month of December, she is garbed out. And I love it. How are you today?
I am at one with the Yuletide.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I am a big kid as well. You can see from all my little stuffies in the back, the trees here. I've got all the stuff around, and I love every bit of it. So thank you for being here with us today, and not just because of your beautiful garb, but for your beautiful soul. Thank you for being here on Finding the Joy and the Journey. How have you been?
Well, if I was any better, I'd be twins.
I love that.
I especially since the 31st of March, when I moved into my new townhome, I live every day in joy. I smile all the time. I've been told, half an inch wider, the whole top of my head would fall off.
And I love the background that you have with your light. It's, you have an idea and you are illuminating the world with it. So thank you for being here and doing that. And you're in Grandview, which is right a part of Kansas City.
It's part of the Kansas City Metroplex, yeah.
And, it is wonderful that wherever we are all part of this oneness. It doesn't matter whether you're in the United States or in Switzerland. Wherever you are, it is all right here, right now. And we practice that here on this network. And I appreciate that so much. So thank you for being with us. And all those that are watching, thank you as well for being here, knowing joy, being in that place of joy. And since you've been here, you actually started your own show on the network, which is a newer show. I know you've been going a while, but since you've been a guest here, and your show is Global Focus Today, and it's on Tuesdays live at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. So tell us about the show.
Well, I'm a focus minister. I'm not a pulpit minister, though I do love to do a Sunday talk, and I do a pretty good one too, I think you think. But that wasn't enough. I needed to do other things. And so I started as a focus minister, and I was the only person in my ministerial class who was planning not to be a pulpit minister from the get-go. I mean, I knew that I was a focus minister from forever. And so I have a different outlook from pulpit ministers. And I personally believe that focus ministry is really the future of ministry. And we got a big boot in the tush on that from COVID. I was already doing everything online, but the whole world had to join me there because of COVID. And I think that there's been a great increase in the diversity of ministries and ways of serving. And so that's what Global Focus Today is about. I interview different focus minister every week. This week I had two. I had a team. So I had two people on the screen at the same time. And it's never the same. I have ministers who do music. I have ministers I have pet ministers. I have people who work with the unsheltered, sometimes called homeless, but unsheltered is, I think, a little closer to the truth, because home, contrary to popular belief, is where you hang your heart and not your hat. So I have ministers who visit me, whose ministry is involved in writing books. Whatever they do, if they're willing to talk about it, I'm happy to have them come and do exactly that, talk about it. And I learn something every week, and the people who are watching learn something every week. And it's always different and exciting to me. I love talking to people all across the country. I've had guests who were from the East Coast, guests who are from the West Coast. I don't have anybody from Canada or Mexico yet, but I'm working on it.
I think that that's wonderful, because we're learning how to meet people where they are and not expect them to be where we are. And I also think another gift of that is you don't have to choose just one. Even pulpit ministry has changed.
Yeah.
For us in Greater Boston, and I'm also blessed that you're on you're our visioning coordinator for CSL Greater Boston. And, we have seen so much in visioning of what it's going to be, instead of a regular, what used to be a church kind of mentality. We are looking at it more as a community center. and being that in the community. And, what is that going to look like? And it's exciting when we, really look at Spirit's idea as opposed to just the way it used to be. All kinds of things come up. And it's really happening that way for a lot of centers, that there's a new way of approaching ministry. And, the gift of, new thought is that we're not one way. We are not, there's not just one book that we look at, although we have the textbook that we love, it is not all there is. There's so much more to it. And ministry can look like anything and everything. And it's been a wonderful gift for me to utilize many aspects of ministry. I know Reverend Scott Aubrey has one where he does spiritual.
Love Scott Aubrey.
He's got his own website and spiritual passages, and he if you're speaking on a subject, a minister can type in, or anyone can type in a few words, and you've got all kinds of spiritual or religious backing for that. That's a wonderful tool. There's so many different types of ministry that are, people that don't identify as religious can now look at things in a completely different way and be fed from so many different points of view.
I think I'm reminded of an old joke. I mean, a really, really old joke about a little boy when they asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up. He said he wanted to be a minister. And they were really impressed. And so they said, "What made you do that?" And he said, "Well, because then I only have to work one day a week." Which, that may have been a time where that was true. But I think that as spirituality has evolved, people are no longer there. I would say the great majority of people no longer identify as religious, but they identify as spiritual, but not religious. And that's not something that happens just on Sunday. That's a way of living. That's a philosophy of life. And that's what ministry is becoming too. And that's why there are so many different forms of ministry, because you're in the community and you are living your life, and it's a life of service.
And it can have so many different outpicturing to it, and I know for us, we started through visioning. We were given this, we do a sacred circle at 7, and you're all invited. It's actually tonight. It's on Thursday nights it's 7 p.m. Eastern time. And what that is just that. It's a conversation. We get the opportunity to be in conversation together at 7 p.m. on Eastern time, 7 to 8 every week. It's a different spiritual leader, whether it's a practitioner, minister, rabbi, whoever it is we may have there. And they talk about whatever the theme is that evening. And it's always a different theme. And it is the person that's leading that gets to choose. So they're not hearing from the same person. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I love Sunday celebration. I have always loved Sunday celebration. And coming together as a community, for me, is incredibly important. And it always has been since I walked in the doors of CSL Concordia back, at this point, 13 years ago. I have loved the community, and feeling that coming together in that spiritual practice, for me, is amazing. And there's other options too. Not everyone has that same need that I have, as far as that Sunday, but there's more than that. And even there, we did more than that.
Well, that's why I built the Spirit Online directory, because and this happened before COVID happened. My mentor way back said, Sherry, there's something I'm really curious about. He said, I know how much spiritual community means to you. And I'm wondering how you're dealing with that all by yourself on 12 and a half acres in 2 hours from everything, Arkansas. Thank you, God, I am not there anymore. But I said to him, well, I saw that coming. So before I moved here, I made a list of all of the centers that I could find, the New Thought centers that live streamed their music, and I bookmarked them all. And on Saturdays, my husband and I would figure out where we wanted to go to church, and then we'd come over to my office and we'd go to church there. And he said, well, famous last words from a mentor. If I ever say that to you, run. Well, he said, there could be other people who could use that information. And so the Spirit Online Directory was built to provide spiritual practice online for people who don't live in a place where they can go to a building. And
that's what this address is up here. Your website is oneheartretreatcenter.org, and there's a ton of stuff on there, just so people know. It is Spirit Online Directory, or they can go to the page that actually has that as well. There's a tab. So I just want people to know that that's what I have up here, that they can go to and have that.
You can find all kinds of things there. You can find Sunday services that you can attend by clicking a link. You can find meditations that are on Sunday or other days of the week or on demand. You can find classes and all kinds of things. There's even a page for blogs and videos and downloadable apps that can help you with spiritual activities, spiritual growth, spiritual exploration. Making spiritual knowledge, making spiritual awareness part of your daily life is the best possible way to find joy in the journey. Because no matter if you're in 2 hours from everything, Arkansas, or if you're in downtown New York City, you're never alone.
And it's knowing that it's coming together, whether it be, I'm teaching a class on the 4 agreements, and where, it's a wonderful book. It is actually, it's a beautiful book. And as wonderful as the words are, when you hear it from different people in different perspectives, different ways, it comes alive. Our teachings are just that. That's why we have teachings. I remember when I was a kid and we'd go to Sunday school, and it would be, you had the same book. I literally had the same book. I took 10 years of catechism classes, and 9 out of the 10 years I had the same book. And I remember
catechism. I had it too.
I remember the one year that we graduated to the other book. I was so excited. And the next year they gave us the pink one again. Like we went backwards. But it gets stale, and it's not to say it's not important, and I'm not disrespecting it, but we want it to come alive. We want to live the word. We want to be the word. We already are it, but we want to realize it. Part of finding joy in the journey is meaning. And Spirit is alive in and as us. And the more we reveal it, the more joy we are living in, the more power we're experiencing, and the easier the flow of life is. And that's what it's all about. It doesn't have to be hard. There's going to be moments. Everybody has their moments, but it doesn't have to be. We get a choice. It's our resistance. It's the claw marks that we're putting in things that keep us stuck, right?
Yeah. I think that there was a phrase when I was much back in the middle of the previous century that really has a lot of deep spiritual meaning, and that's go with the flow. To be in the flow of spirit instead of getting a cup of it on Sunday and then going on with the rest of your life and coming back on Sunday for another cup. If you realize that you're not ever out of that, it's a lot harder to be poor, pitiful me. If you know that you're right in the middle, it's as though we're standing under Niagara Falls with a thimble. And I say, no, give me an Olympic-sized swimming pool with a hose coming out of it.
Let me jump in.
Let me have an infinite, unlimited, not stoppable flow. That's me. That's what I want. And that's what I want to help other people find. That's why I built the Metaphysical Research Library.
Tell us about that.
Oh, that's my new project, my wonderful, the biggest new expression of my ministry is it's in my basement. I had it built, the shelves and the floor and the ceiling put in. And I have right at 1,000 books not counting the Bibles and the magazines and the CDs and the DVDs that are in there. And the idea is that any minister, student, practitioner can come here and study in that library, and it doesn't cost them anything. They have to make an appointment because it's in my house, but they can come and study. But my goal, and in fact, it's going to be my PhD project, my thesis project, is to the catalog of the 1,000 books. I don't have the other things in the catalog yet, but the catalog is online. And I want to make it possible for someone to go online, look in the catalog, say, oh, there's just the book I need. That's what I need for the research that I'm doing. And then be able to click over and use that book. I want to make it a globally available online library, sort of like what Scott Aubrey does with quotes and stories, except I want it to be for all of metaphysics, for all of theology and philosophy and metaphysics and religion. I have 14 Bibles, and one of them was published in 1845. It's not in real good shape, but it's very much treasured. I have a couple of Qurans, and I have the writings of Baha'u'llah, and I have Confucius, and I have Buddha, and I mean, it's all in here. And I want it to be accessible so that somebody can just go to my website and go, click on the page for the Metaphysical Library, click on Explore, look at the catalog, say, oh, this is a book I want, click on that, and automatically go to the e-version of that book.
That'd be amazing. It's amazing. And I know your PhD through Emerson is what you're working on right now. Isn't it? As young as you are, getting younger.
Well, I look at it this way. God's got so much stuff lined up for me to do. I'm going to have to live to be 150 to get it all done. I'm not leaving until I'm finished. So I won't even be middle-aged until I'm 92.
Well, there you go. There you go. I love it.
So I'm still, well within range of doing a PhD.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that that's what keeps us young and vibrant. We're meant to learn new things.
Well, we have a lot of gray cells we don't use, and I figure a day is wasted if I didn't learn anything.
Absolutely. And, this is a wonderful gift that you're bringing about with this library. And I know you're having so much fun with it.
I am that.
And that's really, when we talk about finding the joy in the journey, this isn't something that you saw modeled before you. It was an idea that came to you. And it's exciting when you talk about it. We can hear it. We can see it in you. You're excited about it. So what I encourage people all the time as a life coach, not just as a minister, but also as a life coach, is really to be in that place of find what excites you. Too often in life, we are in this place that people are just getting by and doing the same old, and wondering why they're not happy. Well, if you do more of what you did before, you will not be. How can you be? How can there be joy in, an unhappy story? So you have to change something, and you get to be that. It's just a different point of view. There's going to be something that's exciting.
Yeah, you have to remember that joy stands for just one you. That's all you have to do. You have to remember there's just one you, and then you have to find out who that is and be it. And that's not a hard thing to do if you listen, because God never shuts up.
I love that idea. And there's plenty of people that don't feel that. I have known many people in my lifetime that don't have that experience. So how did you first in your life get to the point that you realized that there is that communion? When did you first have that awareness?
Don't laugh. I was 12, and I was walking, and I lived in Colorado, And my father was an aeronautical engineer, but my parents had a little cafe in this little town in Colorado that we lived in. And every Saturday, my 4 sisters and I and our dog Ginger would go down to the cafe, and my mother would set out 6 sack lunches, a sandwich, a bag of chips, an apple, and a can of pop. And we would take them, and the next one after me and the next one after her would go one direction, and the youngest 2 would go another direction, and the dog and I would go off walking. And one day we were walking in the mountains, there was a creek and a glen, and it was really pretty. And I was sitting at a picnic table, opening up my picnic lunch, and Ginger was right there with me, and I started to talk, and I said, "Listen, God, there's this thing," and I was right out loud. And I nobody ever told me to talk out loud. I wasn't raised, in that kind of religion. I was raised in shut your mouth and move your beads. But it seemed perfectly natural to me that God was listening. God is everywhere. Every religion tells you that. Every tradition tells you that God is infinite, eternal, and everywhere present. So I figured if I had a question, I could ask it. I might not hear the answer, but I could ask the question. And so I started to do that. And it took 30 years for me to realize that I was hearing the answer, because I kept hearing about, reading about, hearing about, listening about that still small voice. And I thought I couldn't hear it because I expected it to be like Bill Cosby's Ting Noah, boom, Noah. No, turns out that the still small voice sounds just like the one I'm hearing as I speak right now. The difference is when my ego is talking, it says, now do this because yada, 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 yada. And when it's God talking, when it's the still small voice, it says, do this. And then having said everything that needs to be said, it shuts the hell up. So I can do whatever it is it has put in front of me to do. So basically, putting the joy in it is remembering that there's just one you. God doesn't want to be bored any more than anyone else does. So God doesn't create the same thing over and over again. We are each and every one of us unique. And God didn't just plunk us down here and forget about us. There's a reason each one of us is the specific unique that we are.
Yes.
And so the joy is in recognizing that I'm unique. I am an expression of infinite and unconditional love. I have a purpose in the world that nobody but me can fulfill. No matter how rich they are, no matter how educated they are, no matter how well traveled they are, there is no one else on earth who can do what I was put here to do. And there is nothing.
And the world needs you. The world needs
nothing that can stop me from doing it.
Yeah.
Because that's why I'm here. And that is the truth of every single person on the planet. That is the truth of every single person on the planet. We are surrounded by expressions of infinite and unconditional love. And each one has absolute, instantaneous, total access to the mind of God, which means inspiration, guidance, wisdom. It's all there. We just have to tune our hearing aids, our spiritual hearing aids, to the right frequency to hear the dream that God is dreaming through us. Yes. The vision that God is expressing through us. We all have one. It's all there. And it is guaranteed to be fun. Guaranteed.
That's funny.
I know God
hasn't said quite that way, but I appreciate it.
God has a sense of humor, because otherwise camels wouldn't have their front knees on backwards and avocados wouldn't be more pit than fruit.
I definitely agree. Spirit has a sense of humor. And I know that each person is an individualized expression, as you said, and that each one is here for a purpose, on purpose, and created wonderfully for that purpose. And I've worked with many people that didn't know that they hadn't found theirs yet, or they didn't recognize it. They knew they loved it, but they didn't think that was for them. Not everybody works as a vocation at their purpose.
No.
Not everyone does. There's different parts to life. It's what do you enjoy? You know, my husband actually always loved comic books. And, you know, they brought him a lot of comfort as a child. He had a difficult childhood. And you know, basically this was his bright spot that he remembered. So when it came time for, you know, when we were looking at life in general, I saw how much joy it brought him. And one of his dreams when he was a kid was always to own a comic book store. And I said, why not? Let's do it. And we did. We actually owned a comic book store for 6 years. And there was, you know, toys and all that kind of stuff. I'm a big kid, as you can see from my little toys behind me. But, you know, we owned a comic and collectible shop for 6 years. And, you know, while financially it was not the epitome of what we'd hoped, there was so much good that came from it. And, you know, it may not be what his purpose in life is, but he's done it, he's tried it, and he has that appreciation that I believed in him enough to do it, and that he lived that dream. Not everyone gets the opportunity. And, you know, that's what it's about. What is your dream? What have you always thought about? Or wouldn't it be great if? And it doesn't have to be that you own a horse ranch. It may be that you volunteer at a ranch or at a farm, and you help clean the horses and take care of them one day a week, and you get to ride while you're there for free. It may be whatever it may look like, may not be what you expect, but you can still be that whatever you're called to be.
Oh, I know that's true. I have just recently begun volunteering at the National Museum of Toys and Miniatures, which just happens to be in Kansas City. It's the coolest thing I ever saw in my life. Who ever dreamed that miniatures was a form of art?
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to become a docent there as a volunteer, just so I can spend more time looking at those little teeny tiny things. I saw a rug, a woven rug that was this big. And it had the pattern, the exact pattern of the carpet that was underneath it. You know, I mean, I was astounded. It never occurred to me in all my life that
was somebody's passion.
That could be somebody's art, that could be somebody's gift to the world. And it's just astonishing that what's in that museum. It's not a big museum. It has grown like 4 times as big as it started out 70 years ago. But it's amazing the things. And of course, when you've got miniatures, you can get a whole lot of them in one room.
And I was just showing you before, I make jewelry.
Yeah.
I was saying that this was last night's creation. It's a necklace and jewelry, a bracelet and earrings, and I make a ton of them, and I love making them. And I don't know what they're for, and I don't know where they're going, but I've made a ton of them. And so this year I said, okay, enough of wondering. I just take them with me. So now I always it's the holiday season, all the holiday colors. I take them with me, and wherever I go, if I'm at a restaurant, I ask the hostess to pick one. If I'm at a doctor's office, I ask usually whoever works in the office, I'll ask, pick one. Take them out, take them in back, and just whatever they want, just pick one. And they're like, well, do you want money for? I'm like, no, just they can have one. I'm spreading Christmas cheer is what I tell them. Holiday cheer, whatever, because I make sure that I also have the blues for Hanukkah or whatever colors, it makes me happy to make them. And it makes me even happier to see people happy with them. Now, it doesn't cost me much. It doesn't take that long, but it makes people happy, and that makes me happy. And that's the point. No, it's not what I do for my vocation.
Can you imagine?
What I do so I'm happy.
Can you imagine somebody being really superlative at something they didn't love? You can be really good. You can be expert, but you can't be the best there is unless you absolutely love what you're doing. I mean, imagine Billie Jean King not loving tennis.
You know, there are a
Imagine.
lot of people at jobs, and I'm not saying, and there's a lot of people that do a lot of jobs that they don't like. And some of them it's fear because they don't have they think it's the safer route than to go after what they choose. Not everyone's going for their PhD after they've already taught for 35 years. It takes a special someone to go back and continue to work on themselves. And that's one of the things that I want to really mention too is we are living in a place and a time that we can do anything. So whatever your first quarter of your life may have been, whatever your first half of your life may have been, it doesn't mean that that's all that you're going to be or do. I know plenty of people that retire to go on to do what they've always wanted to do.
Well, and there are people who do jobs that are really important, who do them really well and don't enjoy them at all. That doesn't need to be their whole life. They can have something else in their life that they really enjoy doing, as a volunteer or as a side thing that they do that may or may not make money. They can do service in zillions of ways, at hospitals, in schools, in zoos, in aquariums. There isn't any kind of organization that doesn't use volunteers except commerce. They don't use volunteers at banks, and they don't use volunteers at the shopping centers. But just about everything else that you do, there are volunteers. My daughter's father was a volunteer deputy sheriff. He never made a penny, but I never saw anybody happier than that man was when he put on his Barney Fife suit.
And it's really getting to the point of knowing yourself.
That's
what makes you happy? If you used to love to dance, why aren't you dancing? If you used to love to do something, why aren't you doing it? If your heart's been called to do something, try it. You've got, it's about enjoying where you are, not saying, well, that I've had many people tell me that, oh, well, that's past. I missed out on that. No, you didn't. If it's meant for you, it must come to you. And, it may not have been then. Maybe now is the time. No. There is no expiration date on your dreams.
Oh, I like that. No expiration date on your dream. And there's no time limit on your beginning either. You can Absolutely. Begin at any point doing anything you want to do. And the key to the whole thing is knowing who you really are. What gives you joy is being who you really are. So if there's some activity that you take that you can do, and when you do that, you feel absolutely 100% alive, that must be part of your life. It may not be how you earn the money to pay the bills, but it must be part of your life.
Absolutely. And I'm going to bring us back because it's so easy to get off on a tangent. I'm going to bring us back. And I just want to mention again, you have this beautiful website, and this is your logo that's on everything. Your One Heart Retreat Center. And you do World of Peace meditations, and you have weekly meditations that are on your website as well. You have weekly blogs that are always fun, and they're just really... they are every day. Some of it's common sense, but it's always uplifting. You talk about whatever's been going on, and it comes to you, and it's in a wonderful way, and it's not long or drawn out. It is a wonderful message. So I encourage people to go to oneheartretreatcenter.org, or even look you up on Facebook as well, because you're on there, and I know you always post them there, and people can find you on that. And also that you do meditations. You are on the board. Can you speak a little bit about that for the Global Heart?
I'm on the Global Heart of Peace Initiative, which is a spinoff. How Mary Tyler Moore's show had spinoffs. Well, we are a spinoff from the Global Services team.
CSL
for CSL, for Centers for Spiritual Living. And we have quarterly events, but we have weekly live meditations, and they are now in different languages. We've had several in Spanish language, and I think we've had a couple in French also. And every Monday and I do one every quarter. And just because I can, I like the next one is going to be on my next birthday. January 23rd, I get to do the live meditation. But we do all kinds of things. We do, when there's a conference for CSL, we do a live meditation for them. We do Labyrinth Day. We do the World Day of Peace, the UN Day of Peace.
Which is, can you repeat?
September 21st.
Thank you.
And we do a presentation on December 31st for the World Healing Peace Meditation. That's one of my favorites. I've been doing that one. I've only missed one time since 1993.
And how do we find that information?
Well, you can Google Global Heart of Peace. That's probably the easiest way to do it. We have a page on the CSL website, but it's kind of hard to navigate. So if you just Google Global Heart of Peace, it'll take you straight there. And it's also,
I found it. I had it on my computer somewhere. There we go.
And I
just want to make sure people know how to find it.
And just so you know, I get to do the opening meditation on this year's event. So I'm looking forward to that.
Wonderful. And there's, growing up for me, many of you know that I also have the Peace Circle on Monday evenings. And I've been doing that pretty much the better part of 9 years. It's been amazing how long it's been. And I have loved the Peace Circle, but it's because I have a passion in peace and knowing that it needs to be full circle within me so that I can be the change that I wish to see in the world. And that's why I also have this show, which is Finding the Joy in the Journey, because it's there. And I have a passion for joy. And it's about realizing that I need to be what it is that I really am. So a lot of people don't know how to find peace, how to come to that place of peace. They're not at peace with themselves. They're not at peace in the world. They're not, they're mad at their community. They're mad at, their parents. They're mad at everybody. And, peace, again, is one of the attributes of divine. It's always there. It is always within us. And we always have access to it. And I grew up like it was a soundbite. Oh, world peace. Isn't that great? Peace, of course, who wouldn't want more of that? But I didn't know how to achieve it. So we talk about, and you as well, you lead people through these meditations that you don't have to know what it's all about to be present. And that's what peace is.
That's what peace is.
I bought books. I bought all kinds of things. I didn't necessarily read them, but I bought them. I did all kinds of different practices. I bought CDs. I bought all kinds of stuff to learn how to find peace externally. What do I do to be at peace? And peace is about being, not doing. So joy is also an act of being. It's doing too, but it is an act of being within you that lights up from the inside, or as you are illuminating the light around you as well. It is about that beingness. It's not doing something, then I'll be happy. It's about realizing who you are, whose you are, and that divine nature within you, that be still and know.
Yep. That's absolutely right.
So I encourage people to go to your website and check out your meditations, because they take you. And again, they're not long. It's not going to take, they're not 20 minutes of it. Doesn't have to be long or drawn out. And I love that because, we are, unfortunately, many of us are in this soundbite world where, a tweet is too long, or, TikToks, flashing by us, and everything's so fast that, and for a lot of people, the attention span isn't as long. So I always try to let people know it's not a huge investment to take a couple of minutes to just center yourself. And it makes a world of difference. If you are in the car and you're driving and you realize you're going in the wrong direction, at some point, you need to stop and turn around. We get that opportunity every day, that when we're feeling anything but where we want to be, we can stop and head back to peace, head back to joy, be still and know. Do you have any practices for you that help you with that? Whether it be to come to more peace in your day, or, that consciousness of joy?
I do. One of them won't surprise you, and that's, a morning prayer practice that includes meditation and reading and prayer and Reiki, because I'm also a Reiki master. But the other one is 5 or 6 times a day, I take my little dog out for a walk, and we just walk. Sometimes she does something and I clean it up, and sometimes she doesn't do something, but we go out and walk. We go out and spend time in the fresh air and look at the leaves and see the trees. She tries to chase the squirrels up the trees, but she never succeeds. It's just a breather in whatever's going on. It's just a little penny jumps up, and she doesn't bark. She just comes and does this. She can do that for a long time. And if that doesn't work, she'll take one little paw and she'll go. And then she needs to go outside, and so I go, and I call that a God wink. That's so much better than the celestial two before, just a little God wink that says, take a breath, get up. You're doing too much. Go be for a minute. And we're never outside more than 10 minutes, from me putting my coat on to me taking my coat off, 10 minutes. But it's a spiritual practice. It is. It's a reminder that I'm never alone, and that love comes in all shapes and sizes, including with 4 feet and a tail.
Especially with 4 paws and a tail. Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more on that. We have our animals are wonderful teachers, because they're always right here now.
Yep.
They are always right here now. And we can learn from that, because so often we're caught up in what needs to be done, what didn't get done, what I need, what's next, rather than where I am. And it's so easy to miss it. We're multitasking everything all the time.
Nope. I gave up multitasking. That was my New Year's intention this year. And I've got it down to only one thing of multitasking. And that's, I knit when I watch television, because TV doesn't use enough brain and knitting doesn't use enough brain. And the two of them give me a nice balance. But everything else I do that thing. It's amazing how much more time you have when you don't multitask. It's astounding. There have been studies done. I didn't believe them, but it's true.
It's, it's amazing when flashing through these screens, it really has changed life for many people. And I'm one of them. I am I can get, squirrel, I'm very easily distracted. And I forgot that I was in the middle of that, or I never hit send on that. And I go back to it again and again. So I agree. And these are practices. Mm-hmm. If you want greater peace in your life, it's practice. If you want more joy, if you are calling forth abundance, if you do what you're currently doing, you're going to get more of what you had. Yeah. So whatever it is that you're calling forth in your life, it's consciously being there and doing that consistently.
Well, what you have to do is make a joy-shaped hole in your routine.
I love that.
Because the universe abhors a vacuum. You create a joy-shaped hole, it's going to be filled up with joy because joy fits in it.
Yeah, that's great. I have this shirt I love. I have words mean something, and I love the Japanese study. I'm terrible with his last name, Dr. Emoto, I believe is his name.
Emoto, Emoto, yes.
Okay, and he studied what it actually does, what words do, and of course, just saying the words, a prayer, blesses water, and it makes it look under a microscope like crystals. It's absolutely gorgeous. And at the same time, saying awful things makes it look like swamp water. And we are made up of primarily water.
Yep.
The human body is made up of. So words matter. So whenever I wear shirts like this, I have another one that says thankful. I have another one that says grateful. I have another one that says joy to the world. I often get comments from people that'll say, I love your shirt. And I smile and I say thank you. But it's a reminder that these are little things we can do to bring it into the world and into people's, to be in that knowing of. It's a choice.
It is.
I wear this for me far more than anyone else.
I have one that says, I'm too blessed to be stressed.
Yes.
And I get compliments every time I wear it. But what I realized is that not only are words powerful, but you can choose the words you're going to give power to. So a practice, okay?
Yes.
Get yourself a pad of sticky notes and go around your house and put a sticky note that says, I am joyful. On the outside the refrigerator, above the kitchen sink, on the bathroom mirror, beside your bed, on the alarm clock.
Louise Hay, till the day she died, had those sticky notes everywhere. Her bathroom had all kinds of sticky notes on them. She would write right on the mirrors. She would have them everywhere, these affirmations. She practiced what she preached.
Yep.
And that's why she lived to, I forget, was she 92 or 93? And not just lived. I saw her speak. I was blessed to have been to one of her You Can Do It conferences. And I want to say she was either 89 or 90 at the time. And she was talking about her morning routine. And she still did pull-ups on her bar across her bathroom.
Not I, said the little red hand.
No, bathroom door. She still did pull-ups every morning. She woke up thanking her bed for a beautiful night's sleep and, got in her car every time, blessing everyone on the road before her. We get to choose how we send intentions, how we choose to live. And, these were practices that over years she accumulated. And she did amazing things, especially coming from where she was. She had a very abusive, in every way, childhood into adulthood, and found herself in her 40s feeling useless and alone. She was abandoned for a younger model. And, it was now what? And she found science of mind and became a minister and became, a licensed practitioner. And these practices are what changed her. Mm-hmm. So, I encourage people, and I do love her, and I don't, but it's just one person. There's so many within the New Thought movement that have done just that. They use the tools to get to where they choose to be in life.
Peace Pilgrim is a wonderful example. She walked across the country multiple times with nothing but a vest and a toothbrush. And she said, one person can't change the world, but a whole bunch of people doing their one thing can change everything.
Yes. And that if you go to that website, if you look up Peace Pilgrim and you go to that website, they'll actually send you the book for free. They do.
Oh, how cool.
They send you the book for free, so that can go right in your library.
I was just going to say, I'll have to do that. I'll go get him to send me one that I can put in my library, because
And I
that
also
certainly
encourage people,
would belong there.
if you have spiritual books that you're looking to purge, they can send them to you.
Oh, yes, you can.
People know that they can go to your retreat center, the oneheartretreatcenter.org, and they can look up your information and contact information, and they can send you any kind of spiritual book that they have for any age. And I encourage people to think about that and be able to, because she also has a lending library. So even if it's a duplicate, it's okay. Whatever it is you have, please, keep in mind donations are welcome. It's a 501c.
It's a 501c3, so you get a receipt.
Donations are welcome. So please keep that in mind. And you can also reach out to me if you have any questions about, of course, CSL Greater Boston, but also for this show, for show ideas. If there's any comments, anything that you'd like to, you're welcome to reach out at me. To me, Gina at cslboston.org. I would love to hear from you. The hour always goes by so quickly, and I'm so grateful to have you here. And so I love your festive joy, and I love what you put out into the world. And I thank you for living your message, for being that change and shining the truth in every way. I encourage you. I encourage the viewers to do just that. Realize that it is never too late to be what you might have been, and that anything and everything meant for you is still there in escrow waiting for you. Know that Spirit as you has you. And, if you're not living that joy, if you reach out. Again, I'm at Gina at cslboston.org. You can also reach out to our prayer team. We have a wonderful prayer team. It's prayer at ntmedia.org. And again, it's prayer at ntmedia.org. You can reach out to our prayer team and know that we are an entire group of ministers and practitioners. Rev Sharri and I are both on the prayer team. There's a fabulous team, and we are all here to know truth as well. So especially in this holiday season, as it unfolds, know that you are never alone, and that there is an entire team loving and waiting to pray for you. Any comments before we close, Reverend Sharri?
Well, the worst thing that anyone can say is no, and they can't say yes unless you ask them. So if you've got a dream, ask.
Yes.
Ask. Because there really isn't any such thing as no. Sometimes there's not yet. Sometimes there's not that way. There's really not such a thing as no.
This or better.
Yes, universe.
Yep. This or better. That's what I'm always reaching out for. This or better. So even if there's a no in this moment, there's something better that's about to unfold. And I'm going to encourage people as you watch this tonight, Sacred Circle at 7. The topic is 'Tis the Season, and practitioner Barbara Epstein is going to be leading. 'Tis the Season is the topic. And this is the information for the Zoom meeting. It's also on CSL Greater Boston's Facebook page as well as website. And again, this is the information. It is free. We have people from all over the world. It is 7 p.m. every Thursday on Eastern time. So, and Rev Sharri, you led it for us about a week ago, wasn't it? So, we would love to have you there. And I'm so grateful that you joined us here today. Thank you to New Thought Media Network for hosting shows that are uplifting and joyful. Please keep us at this network in your prayers as well, knowing, and thank you for your generosity, because it's what keeps us going and able to share with the world. So till next week, I encourage you to keep finding the joy in the journey. Be the change you wish to see and have fun with it. Thank you, Reverend Sharri, and keep shining. Keep shining. Blessings and love. Namaste.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.